Welcome back. We're here to talk Killzone Mercenary. I'm here with Tom Jones. He's the art director on this game. And let me just say something. This is the most stunning looking mobile game I've ever seen. I mean,
Thanks,
truly.
Man. Thank you.
I was telling a story. You know, we're going to get some live feed going here, but one of the things about this game, if you see it on a TV, you could be fooled into thinking it was Killzone 3 on PS3. How did you guys do that?
Well, to be honest, I mean, that was kind of one of the aims. We wanted to
Look at this.
Live up to the standards that have been set by the previous games. And I think one of the ways we did it, we actually took the engine from Killzone 3 and kind of lifted the hood and tweaked that to get the most out of the Vita. And that gave us the groundwork to kind of really push the fidelity.
And speaking of fidelity, though, I got to point out the fact that this game is running at the native resolution of PS Vita. That is not something that you see done often, especially.
No, it's not. It's a big deal.
Not on something this spectacular with the kind of textures and lighting and animation system you guys have going.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a technical feat, and it plays great too.
There's a lot of love that's gone into it, and you can see it kind of holds up on the big screen and it holds up on the big projectors. So I think we've ticked a lot of boxes.
Now, how long have you guys been working on Mercenary?
It's a couple of years now, so
yeah.
I think you can see that a lot of time has been spent on it, and a lot of effort's been put into it as well.
One of the things I like, I've gotten a little bit of hands-on time with the game, is it actually does a good job with the touch screen. It's a double tap on the back to sprint, on the rear touchpad to sprint, which I think is a great way to do it on PS Vita. But then they also, the way Melee works, talk to me a little bit about how Melee uses the front touchscreen on PS Vita.
What we've done, we've got this system called Brutal Melee. That's good timing from Mike there, just did one. Basically, whenever you go up to an enemy soldier, it'll give you a context to either tap on the screen or press a button. A lot of our interactions can either be touch or buttons, just in case people have a preference. But then what it will do, it will give you a kind of gestural input, like a directional arrow, and you just swipe the screen and then it will do a move kind of corresponding to that direction. But we've tried quite hard with the touch inputs to make sure that they're intuitive and not too invasive. I know a lot of people have been concerned that they were going to be gimmicky or kind of just chucked at it for the sake of it. We've not done that. At its core, it's a twin-stick first-person shooter, and anything extra is because we felt it enhances the gameplay experience, not just for the sake of it. So.
Now, speaking of extra, one of the things that I think also does a great job using the Vita's touch screen and touch functionality is the Vanguard system. Tell me a little bit about this and some of the new abilities you're able to get thanks to that.
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the things we wanted to do, actually, because it's a Vita, we kind of almost wanted to put a Vita on the Mercenary's arm in-game and build it around the idea that this is your tactical armament system. And so we've created these new things called Vanguard weaponry, and basically they're just some kind of toys of death. So Mike's got a porcupine equipped at the moment, which is like a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher.
Do it! Oh, it took the zip line.
Anyway, so what that does, it will basically it'll select a lot of enemy characters when they're on screen, and you can use the touch screen to tap them. So we've got a drone that flies around and stabs people in the head.
Oh, that's my favorite. You can. And there's little spots around the map, if you look carefully, little vents that Mantis drone can zip through, kind of a stealth kind of drone. But then you come up and you sort of pincher these guys' heads. It's very satisfying.
That's a good point, actually. A lot of the maps, we tried to design the levels so that they are, you can play them in different ways. So actually, if you want to stealth the map, you can do that, and you can customize your loadout to get that experience. Or if you want to go around all guns blazing, you can do that as well. And they're slightly more arena-based than just a linear progression through the level.
That is a great point, and that's reflected in the weapons. I mean, Killzone is usually a pretty full-on affair. This game definitely gives you, I think, empowers you more due to the weapon loadouts and some of the equipment and the Vanguard abilities you have. For instance, we're seeing silenced weapons. We're seeing a lot of sniper-type weapons. You have this huge arsenal at your fingertips, but you got to deal with this guy, this weapons dealer named Blackjack. Talk to me a little bit about how all that works.
So basically, Blackjack, he's our weapons dealer, as you say. And one of the key things, because you're a mercenary, the whole game is driven by the idea of cash and earning money. So you go where the contract's biggest. And you also earn money for kills and completing these contracts. But money's kind of useless unless you don't have anything to spend it on. So hence why we created a lot of new weapons, a lot of new kind of Vanguard items, this different armor and stuff. And you can buy all of these things right from the start. We don't unlock them as the game goes on. They're all available. It just depends which one you want to buy. So as you say, you can buy the silent sniper rifle, or you can buy like the incendiary shotgun. And what's really cool is that's persistent through single player and multiplayer. It's like a cohesive wrapper for the whole game. So whatever you buy in single player, you can use in multiplayer as well. So I think it's kind of a really nice feature.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed when I played, Blackjack is more than just buying weapons. He's buying ammo and grenades. That brings a very different feel to some of the fights in this game. There was one battle I was in where I fought this massive dude in this huge heavy armor suit, and I was hiding in a bar, and he like busted the door down and came in, and it was this cat and mouse game because I had this weapon, this SMG. It was very powerful, really high rate of fire, very small ammo count. So I was exhausting my ammo very quickly, and I had to really be very cautious about when I would fire at him. And when I finally got through with him, I was able to get some more ammo from Blackjack. But I think Blackjack is more than just sort of a vendor. I think it helps the pacing of the actual action in the game sometimes too. It makes you think a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. I think we wanted to try and do something a bit different. I mean, it's still at its heart a Killzone experience, but we wanted to make sure that it had something unique to it as well, and the fact that it's on a different bit of hardware, I think, gave us the opportunity to do that. And Blackjack's a great volley for kind of introducing some of those mechanics.
Now, is it fair to say Killzone Mercenary has the biggest arsenal of any Killzone game? It sure seems like it to me, based on what
there's a lot. There's something like, I don't know, something crazy like 30,000 odd permutations of different loadouts. It's like
because there's mods and things like that as well, right? There's different ways you can enhance your weapons.
Well, they're kind of already. There's just a lot of different weapons that have already got. You know, they're all balanced together. And one of the things we were really, I know that the lead designer was really mindful of was, if a gun was too powerful, was not to make that less powerful. It was like, okay, that's cool, let's make the other guns more, you know, to bring them all up to the same level. So you have that kind of positive reinforcement. So they're all fun weapons.
And that's a great point, you know, and that was something I noticed when I played Killzone Mercenary. I've played it a couple of times now. I've really enjoyed myself. The weapons have more punch. I don't know what it is, but I feel like they do more damage. Like I feel like it's more satisfying in this game. I don't know why. Maybe it's because do you guys kind of look at the play styles of somebody kind of in a mobile environment? Do you tweak accordingly for that on Vita?
I think that, you know, to be honest, there's just been a lot of kind of iteration throughout the course of the project, and just tweaking it to get the right balance, the right feel, and particularly because there are more weapons, I think we've had to probably make some feel more impactful and you know, take people out in one shot, because you need that range of kind of skill sets across them. So that's maybe why some of them feel a bit more aggressive.
And there's less of the sort of traditional just progression, I think, as you see in a lot of single-player games, where you're getting better and better and better weapons as the game goes, because this game says, here's a ton of guns, which one do you want to choose?
No, exactly.
They're all kind of balanced, and so they're all powerful. And I really noticed that when I played right away. It just felt satisfying. Like, it's never felt better to shoot a Helghast, honestly, and I've loved the other two games, but this is actually, I want to say, the best Killzone I've played yet. It looks great, it plays great, and I mean, it's these little things. It's not, it's the fact that you have to deal with a weapons vendor and get ammo and be careful with your grenades. They're not just kind of being handed out to you. You have to kind of get to the next area or survive this fight to quickly load up and stock up. Now, one thing I want to point out too that's very different about Mercenary is you're fighting for both sides. Talk a little bit about how that kind of impacts the way that the game rolls out.
So I mean, you know, the key thing, because you're a mercenary, you go where the contract's biggest, and that was a very deliberate choice when we started designing the game. And one of the reasons is because it does allow you to see both sides of the war. So you fight for the ISA and you fight for the Helghast in Killzone Mercenary. And actually, I think when you look into the backstory of the kind of Helghast versus the ISA, there's really rich narrative running through it, and there's a lot of depth, and there's more to the universe than just, you know, black and white and like good and evil. And we wanted to maybe start to look at that. So I think it's really interesting. And
that's something I get the sense that Killzone Shadowfall on PS4 is also going to be touching on. I think it's very interesting because the Helghast are very effective villains. They're very menacing. But if you kind of know, that I'm not a true Killzone expert, but if you know a bit about the backstory, the ISA weren't necessarily, they didn't treat them so well.
Guys,
They're not the nicest guys either. The Helghast were kind of banished, and it kind of destroyed them. And that's part of what has sparked this feud. So I think it's very interesting to kind of see both sides. I mean, I was playing a mission where I was sort of helping out the Helghast. It's just a very different side of the universe I don't think we've really seen yet. Talk to me a little bit about the environments too, because you'd be very involved with that.
Sure.
We're seeing parts of Helghast that we haven't seen. We're seeing environments in the world we haven't seen yet. Tell me about some of the places we're going to see in the game.
So I think we were very keen to create new experiences and new environments, like you say, for the player, particularly for us working on it as well. Like, you have this amazing universe, you want to create new stuff, right? But we've also got places that you'll have visited in Killzone 2 and 1. But the cool thing obviously Killzone 1 was what, like 2004?
Yeah.
So things have moved on a lot, and actually doing Mercenary has allowed us to reimagine Vector in the way perhaps it should have been done. Well, not should have been done, perhaps we couldn't do back then.
Right.
And you know, we've got more power and technology. So I think the Vector, it takes place in the first couple of missions, and then you move back to Helgen, and you go through Corinth River, where Killzone 2 starts off, and we take a look at some of the environment around there. And then this environment here is near that, but based out in the ocean. You're on these big kind of smoker stacks that have got this kind of mineral-rich smoke going through them. It's like a mineral-rich planet, right? So everything's kind of a bit designed around mining and getting resources.
Yeah, I found this area very particularly striking because you're seeing sort of an urban or urban sort of lower class environment with a lot of neon and just elements I've never really seen in the series so far. You must have had a field day getting, you know, your art director, you must have had a field day kind of designing all this.
Yeah, this was a really kind of fun thematic to look at, and you know, we took a lot of influences from, you know, like Tokyo and Hong Kong, places like that. And we wanted to make sure that also that, you know, there was some colour in the game as well, because it's such a lovely kind of crisp screen. It would be criminal to just have, you know, something that was kind of brown and grey. So hence a lot of the neon lights and things like that. And the Helghast alphabet actually works really well with that, because it looks a bit like kind of Japanese alphabet and stuff as well. So yeah, this is kind of one of my favourite environments, I think.
That's great. So Killzone Mercenary, we know it's got a full single-player campaign here. This isn't just sort of a couple side quests and off you go into multiplayer. But obviously multiplayer, a big component for any Killzone game. I just want to touch on some of the offering you've got on the multiplayer side. So we have multiple modes. Can you just kind of walk me through the top level?
Yeah, so we've got 6 maps to start with. It's 4v4, and so there's deathmatch, team deathmatch, and then the kind of traditional Warzone mode that you'll have seen in Killzone 2 and 3, which is like the 5 rounds that cycle, and you know, ultimately it's the team that's collected the most points across those different game types. So I think actually there's quite a lot of depth there within those maps and gameplay experiences.
And you guys also have a really interesting sort of collection mechanic in multiplayer where there's this sort of these ace cards, or there are cards that you can collect by killing enemies, and it kind of turns into this meta game. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
That's our Valor system. Basically, we wanted to kind of come up with this thing where anyone could be king for a day, or ace for a day. Because you know what it's like when you're playing a game and you're looking at leaderboards, but there's some guy who's always put in like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and sits on the top, and you're never going to get there. But maybe within a day, you could be at the top. So actually the Valor system is a way of awarding the player a rank depending on how they're doing, and you can collect other people's Valor when you kill them, and kind of complete your suit of cards in your deck, and then you know that gives you more points and you kind of unlock stuff. So
kind of adds a little incentive too to go after some of these guys who are terrorizing you in these matches.
You know, you can see who are the best players, and it's like that positive reinforcement. And you know,
one of the things I like too, I did try a little multiplayer here on Killzone Mercenary, and again, I think it's a very thoughtful game. This isn't just sort of, hey, let's just take Killzone, pump out a quick Vita one, we're done, move on. The way multiplayer is structured with the Vanguard, I thought was very interesting, because we've seen a lot of multiplayer shooters, they have these kill streaks and kill rewards and things like that. So the guy who's doing the best is getting to inflict the most amount of punishment. This game kind of turns it on its head a little bit. If you're not as great of a player, you can kind of hang back from the fray, and that Vanguard will slowly build up. You can kind of slink around in the shadows and then do like the porcupine or call in aerial strikes, things like that. Talk a little bit more about how that works in multiplayer.
I think it's a really astute observation, actually. It's,
thank you.
You're welcome. I think that's one of the cool things about the Vanguards. They're all very different, and that combined with different armor types as well. So we've got like combat armor, or there's a mercenary armor that gets you extra money for every kill. There's a supply armor that gives you more ammo and stuff. So you combine that with the different kind of gameplay styles that the Vanguard items offer, and you're actually starting to really hone your character and your loadout specifically to how you want to play. So if you want to hang back, you can, and you can still get a rich experience, particularly if you combine that with your mate who wants to rush in and you're offering support. You know, so I think we wanted to look at allowing the player to customize the game, both in single and in multiplayer, depending on their gameplay style.
And I love that it's unified across both of them. I mean, that's perfect for mobile. You can, when you aren't around a Wi-Fi connection, you can sit around, you can rank up, you can get money that you can then spend in the multiplayer, and vice versa. So you've worked on this game for a while now. I want to ask you, it's a question I ask a lot of people. What are you personally most proud of with Killzone Mercenary?
I think when you kind of touched at it right on the start about people mistaking it for kind of 2 or 3, I was lucky enough to be at the Sony press conference on Monday night, and it was on the big screens there before the show, kind of a live demo. So it was cutting between, you know, PS3, PS4, and then to this. And it held up and it looked really good. And was like, you know, that's a testament to the guys who've worked on it and all the effort that's been put in, that it can be on this massive projector and still look good. I think that really says something about how good this game looks.
No, I mean, yeah, it's, again, that native resolution, and the PS Vita is a very high native resolution. That is not easy. I know my graphics technology is a bit, not as well as you, but when you're pumping out high resolution images like that, you typically are taking a massive hit in one area or another. You got to strip a lot of other stuff down. That's why a lot of guys don't do it. They want to lavish all the details in there, so they say, scale that down a little, it's cool. This game, though, it's kind of no compromises. It's got it all. I mean, it really, I encourage everybody to see this thing in action. Hopefully you're seeing it right now. And we're you know, just see it in action, because you've never seen anything quite like this. It's a very pretty game. So I think we're about out of time.
Okay, great.
So it was great to have you on the show, and stay tuned for more PlayStation Livecast.
Thanks very much.
Oh, kid, am I glad to see you.
Images are not real and only appear on your television screen.
Get him, kid! What happens if you fold the page? Perfect. We need to be careful. Well done, kid. Great work, partner.
Cease and desist, buddy. Get back here, Nightcrawler!
I think you're getting the hang of this adventure.
PlayStation